Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something that's often overlooked but super important.
Yeah.
Hypervigilance in autism.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a ton of insights from Cheap ABA,
Great
a
source.
fantastic resource for all things autism.
Yeah.
So
Buckle up.
buckle up because understanding this
Yeah.
can seriously change how we approach supporting those on the spectrum.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Hypervigilance is often this invisible struggle,
Right.
making it hard to even spot, let alone address.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, I'm a little more alert than usual.
Right.
It's like having this internal alarm system
Oh, wow.
stuck on overdrive, constantly scanning for threats,
Yeah.
even in safe, familiar places.
Oh, wow.
Like, you should be relaxed, but you're not.
The source mentions some pretty striking examples, too, like
Sure.
getting fixated on these tiny changes in sound or light,
Ah.
things most people wouldn't even register. I
Yeah.
imagine that level of intensity can be really unsettling.
Absolutely, and then layer that on top of
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
the sensory processing challenges many autistic individuals already face.
Right.
So the world can feel overwhelming enough as it is,
Yeah.
and then you add this constant feeling of being on edge. It's a recipe for a vicious cycle,
That paints a very different picture than just being a bit watchful.
for sure.
So how does this hypervigilance actually impact someone's day-to-day life?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be more than just feeling stressed, right?
Right. Think about it. Chronic stress, anxiety, and the inability to relax make it so much harder to cope with things,
Yeah.
like sensory overload or social situations, which are already challenging for many on the spectrum.
Right.
This can really impact self-esteem, relationships, and just overall well-being.
Yeah, it's like this undercurrent of tension
Yeah.
impacting everything.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've got the what and the how, but let's get into the why.
and the why, yeah.
What causes this heightened state of vigilance in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just an autism thing, or are there other factors at play?
Well, the source points to three main factors, actually.
Okay.
First, you've got the sensory processing differences we just talked about.
Right.
Many autistic individuals experience heightened sensory sensitivities,
Okay.
meaning everyday sights, sounds, smells can feel much more intense, even threatening.
Right.
So this naturally leads to a state of constant vigilance.
So it's almost like a protective mechanism.
Yeah,
The brain is on high alert trying to process and make sense of all this amplified input.
exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's not the whole story.
You're right.
What else?
Social anxiety plays a huge role, too.
Okay.
Imagine the fear of social rejection or judgment, making every interaction feel like navigating a minefield.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's exhausting.
That really highlights the invisible burden.
Yeah.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else?
The third factor is one we need to address a little sensitively,
Okay.
and that's trauma.
Okay.
Past experiences of trauma or abuse.
Mm.
Even if they occurred earlier in life,
Right.
they can leave a lasting impact.
Yeah.
So hypervigilance becomes a way of trying to stay safe
Right.
in a world that has felt unsafe before.
So we've got this complex interplay,
Yeah.
sensory processing, social anxiety, and potential trauma,
Hmm.
all feeding into this feeling of constantly being on guard.
Yep.
And the impact, as we've discussed, can be profound.
Absolutely.
But I'm really hoping there's some light at the end of the tunnel here.
Mm-hmm.
Are there ways to break this cycle of hypervigilance?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's
It-
definitely hope.
Phew.
Yeah.
Good.
That's good to hear.
The source outlines some powerful strategies for managing hypervigilance.
Okay.
And what's interesting is how they target those underlying causes we talked about.
Okay, so walk us through those strategies.
Sure.
What can people actually do
Yeah.
to start feeling more grounded and less on edge?
One approach that's often really effective is deep pressure and touch therapy.
You know that calming feeling you get from a weighted blanket?
Oh, yeah, those are amazing. I could practically live under one.
Exactly. It's that same principle at work.
Okay.
This kind of sensory input can really help regulate the nervous system
Mm-hmm.
and reduce that feeling of overwhelm.
Okay.
Think gentle squeezes, hugs, weighted vests, even those specialized blankets.
I'm curious, is there a specific reason why deep pressure works so well,
Oh, that's a great question.
especially for those with sensory processing differences?
It has to do with how the nervous system responds to touch.
Okay.
Deep pressure stimulates certain receptors
Mm-hmm.
that send calming signals to the brain,
Interesting.
helping reduce feelings of anxiety and create a sense of security.
Right?
For individuals with those heightened sensory sensitivities,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly grounding
Yeah.
and provide much-needed relief from that constant state of alert.
So it's not just about feeling good. There's an actual neurological basis for it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. What other strategies tap into this sensory approach?
Another important set of techniques falls under sensory integration therapy.
Okay.
This involves gradual and controlled exposure to sensory stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
That might typically be overwhelming.
Right.
The idea is to help desensitize over time and build up a tolerance.
So it's not about avoiding those triggers altogether,
Right.
but learning to navigate them more effectively.
Exactly.
It sounds like a process of retraining the nervous system's responses.
Precisely.
Okay, cool.
Now, alongside those sensory approaches,
Yeah.
we can't forget about anxiety management techniques.
Right.
Because remember, hypervigilance is deeply tied to anxiety.
Absolutely.
Techniques like deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation,
Yeah.
and positive self-talk can be incredibly powerful tools for calming that nervous system down.
This is all starting to feel really empowering.
Good.
It's not just about managing symptoms, it's about giving people tools to actually feel more in control of their experience.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Nice.
And to round out our discussion of strategies, we can't forget about environmental accommodations,
Right.
creating safe and predictable spaces
Yeah.
that minimize sensory overload can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Think dimming the lights, reducing noise, having a quiet retreat space.
Yeah.
These simple adjustments can go a long way.
It's a two-pronged approach.
Yeah.
Equipping individuals with coping strategies
Yeah.
while also adapting the environment to be more supportive.
Exactly.
I like that.
By combining these approaches, sensory strategies, anxiety management techniques, and environmental accommodations, we can really start to break that exhausting cycle of hypervigilance and create a greater sense of well-being.
Awesome.
It's about meeting people where they are
Yeah.
and providing the support they need to thrive.
This has been so insightful,
Yeah.
but it also makes you think we've been focusing on these individual coping mechanisms, but what about the bigger picture?
Yeah.
How can we,
As a society.
as a society, create environments that are more understanding and accommodating
Right.
of hypervigilance in the first place?
That's such an important question.
Yeah.
It challenges us to think beyond those individual solutions
Right.
and consider how we can build a world that's more inclusive
Yeah.
and supportive from the ground up.
So we're talking about a shift from just helping people cope to actually preventing some of the challenges they face.
Exactly.
Okay.
Remember those three key factors we discussed?
Yeah.
Sensory processing, social anxiety, and trauma.
Right.
We need to address these on a systemic level as well.
Okay.
Think about universal design principles
Okay.
that make spaces more accessible for everyone,
Right.
regardless of their sensory needs, or fostering a greater understanding of neurodiversity,
Yeah.
which could help alleviate some of that social anxiety.
It's like creating a world where differences aren't just tolerated,
Yeah,
but celebrated.
right.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
It would. And we can't forget about addressing the prevalence of trauma in our society.
Yeah.
It's a whole other conversation.
It is.
But it's undeniably connected to hypervigilance. By creating safer and more supportive environments, we can reduce the likelihood of trauma in the first place.
Wow, you're really expanding the scope here. It's going from a personal challenge to a collective responsibility.
It really is.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, what would it look like to live in a world where everyone felt safe and supported regardless of their neurology?
It's a powerful vision, isn't it?
It is.
Imagine a world where those differences in sensory processing and social interaction styles were celebrated rather than stigmatized.
Right.
Where everyone had the tools and support they needed to navigate the world comfortably and authentically.
Okay, now that is a world I want to live in.
Right. Yeah. And it all starts with awareness.
Absolutely.
Right. Recognizing these invisible struggles that people face and creating a culture of empathy and understanding. Absolutely. The more we understand about hypervigilance and its impact, the better equipped we'll be to support not just those on the spectrum, but really everyone around us.
So to our listeners, I'd say this.
Yeah.
The next time you encounter someone who seems a bit on edge or maybe overly focused on details,
Yeah.
consider the possibility of hypervigilance.
Right.
A little understanding and compassion can go a long way.
It really can.
And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity,
Yeah.
keep learning and exploring.
For sure.
There's a whole world of knowledge out there waiting to be discovered.
Couldn't agree more. Keep asking questions, keep seeking that understanding, and together we can create a world that's more inclusive and supportive for absolutely everyone.
And on that note,
Yeah,
we'll wrap up our deep dive into hypervigilance and autism.
great topic.
Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep.